Hello and welcome to another episode of Alan Writes. This time it's episode 7, I want to say. I really haven't been paying attention. The numbers really don't matter until I and put these up for YouTube, and then I realize, oh, I'm on number 7. Uh, this is how my brain works. So anyway, this is the Winter of Truth, and we're going to be taking a look at expanding this. We've finally gotten our main character Finara to Hoth. I'm not sure if it was too long of a delay in getting her there or not long enough. We really haven't developed her as a character besides the fact that she's an engineer, she likes spicy food, she drinks calf, and she's very much an imperial girl, giving in to the entire propaganda suite of everything. And now she's going to have a chance to see up close what the fringes of the empire are really like. The great part about this is you would expect her to be saddened or what have you about seeing the state of the empire at the fringes, how it's not all glory and honor and all that good stuff that they show in the propaganda. But she is going to essentially easily dismiss all of that because, well, that's the sort of things that happen on the frontier. Hoth was never made to be settled. The rebels chose this place because it was most inhospitable, etc., etc., etc. And duty is only enhanced. The honor of duty is only enhanced by the struggle. The stuff an officer will tell an enlisted man so that they can go about their privations with a little bit of dignity. That at least on the fringe of things. Let's be honest here. I have a friend who was in the army, and he tells great stories about being deployed all over the world, really, and some of the most inhospitable places, and working out of a muddy field in various locales. And you're just like, well, yeah, that's what it is. You suck it up and you get on with your job. And if somebody can give you some relief for that about why you're doing that, why you're trying to bounce signals off the ionosphere, well, that's all to the good then. And, well, I get the feeling that a lot of the people who have been left behind at the base are not exactly your first team. They're supplemental. They're what can be spared easily, what people aren't going to miss on Hoth. And this will have repercussions down the line because morale is going to be a little lighter in terms of enforcement. The officers a little more, little less disciplined, a little more lax, and so on. So anyway, let's talk about the base. What are they going to name this base on Hoth? It's going to be something. Well, General Veers captured it. But he didn't die in it, and not in this case. So naming it after him doesn't seem to work. Maybe we can name it after another imperial hero, so to speak, that has been put up by the propaganda. Welcome. Donak base. Edge in the fight against the rebellion. He didn't say another word. The whole drive. Oh. Admittedly, it was a short drive. And it is Kinara, isn't it? Let me make sure. Whenever I restart, sometimes I forget names. Finara. Finara, thank you. Like I said, names are kind of fungible in the beginning. You can change them all you want. Just don't do anything on their on the nose. Sometimes that's ruthless bastard. Might be just a little too much. I mean, there are stories where you could make that work, where like somebody has that as their nom de plume, and people mock him for it. or her mock her for it. You know, they're trying too hard. Admittedly, it was a short drive, and Finara found the design of the ice road more interesting. Carved of a series of ice blocks. It was a single sheet. It was a single sheet where the surface was jagged elsewhere. Melted and frozen for this specific purpose. They'd also they'd had to several times owing to the bumps along the way, but the road held the weight of the transport. Owing to the bumps along the way, but the road held the weight of the transport without quibble. That was one of the things she needed to look into for the foot team. The AT-AT distributed its weight well, all things considered. But how had it fared out here? Did the surface snow and ice compact to form a stable surface underneath the giant metal pads? Feet of the what they wouldn't call them. She wouldn't call them feet. There would be a clinical term for that. I don't know. It's a tech term. Moving on. Or did changes need to be made? When she next looked up, she found the high walls of the it's a basic base. It's one of those things that you can drop from orbit and go, oh, there, we've got a base on the planet now. It was a prefab. Yeah, it's a prefabricated looming, slanting before. While the transport and AT-ATs might have navigated the surface well. The base was apparently another matter. It's tilted, she said. Better believe it, Driver replied. Second day, shifting. Second day it started shifting. What's the angle? What's the angle? Don't know. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped yet. She peered over at him. You mean the base is unstable? Yeah. That's what I said. Driver replied, not taking his eyes from the road. The road was wide enough for 2 vehicles, but he preferred to stick to the middle. That's what I said. Imperial at its finest. Alright, balls that can take a beating, but if they're still standing after. She sighed. She decided to give him the doubt. Something had gone wrong. The team that have been required to survey the site for the base must have gotten something wrong. Something wrong. In their haste, a mistake was made, and now the base was unstable. What are we doing? I'm driving transports. I'm driving transports. The driver. You can do whatever you. I won't mind. They pulled through the gate, passing from ice to durasteel. The roller is saying out because they've got basically it's snow tires, so it's got all the little studs in it to help you go on the road. It's a rain, it's a clatter, it's a cacophony. The roller sang out a tune as the studded exterior didn't clatter. Struck other metal. Was what it didn't. That ended abruptly. The transport pulled over to the side. There we go. Have fun. and stay warm. Now here, you get cold, and then you get dead. Alright, now she's going to leave the vehicle and we're going to get to our first officer. It's going to be an army officer. Now, again, this is second tier logistical garrison officers. Well, let's pull from the British because all the best villains come from Britain. If you're American, anyway, and maybe if you're Irish or Welsh or Scottish too. I don't know. Be the villain you want to be. So here we go. The door, and the frigid chill intruded, despite the heater cranked to full. When she dropped down, her boots thumped against metal that practically radiated cold. It did practically radiate cold. Made into cold. Bones. Even heated souls couldn't drive that away, and she could hear a chime. A warning chime as battery ticked down. Thankfully, her grab sled, was the first to come off. DT troopers somehow ignoring the cold. Somehow ignoring the cold as they to unload. The sun was high overhead, bright even, but could seem to be warm. To make it warm. But wasn't warm. What wasn't warm wasn't warm in the slightest. Sun with teeth, as it were. I'm going to save that for one. That's actually a Romanian saying that I particularly like. Who the frack are you? Man called out to her. He was swallowed under several under several coats. An army officer. A lieutenant. Ooh, who the frick are you? Bernard Descamp. Survey engineer. Battlefield engineer. Recovery engineer. Assessment engineer. Made to over her orders. He waved those away and went back to sticking his hands somewhere warmer. Fine. Fine. Go inside. Delivery area. Go inside. And get out of my delivery area. The food freezes. It is. It is food, isn't it? Greens and meat. Nothing from a can. Can't say. I did see some Kraken. Some Kraken prod. Organizing things. Well, something interesting to burn. Said his head toward the door. She pushed her grass sled toward it. The officer had violated at least several. I have not put this up to 200%, and I apologize for that. At least several standing orders, procedures involving new arrivals at a garrison. She knew, because she'd endured them before. She'd gone through them before. Not endured. Endured would indicate she does it. They have a use, don't they? Scanning and verifying orders. Bit of questioning to a certain. That's not how you spell a certain. I know that much. Spell check. What do you tell them? All right, spell check has an answer for me. Question to a certain of her identity, and then then a chaperone and to the officer of the day. None of that here. Then again, not to be crazy to try to infiltrate to try to infiltrate a place like this. Which doesn't mean it won't happen later. And in fact, I don't think Lawner could be a rebel agent or the DT troopers. I don't think they. That's too weird. I wouldn't do that. But I think we may insert some rebels here sooner or later because Hoth is a vulnerable place, and if you can sting the Empire with a few careful things and/or retrieve your comrades who might have been being hiding on Hoth somewhere, that's all to the good. In fact, yes, at some point, the rebels will try to mount a rescue operation for those left behind Hoth. They will be flamboyant and colorful and courageous. This will cause a conflict with her because she's always been taught that, the rebels are cowardly. They're the worst of the worst, etc., etc. They're what propaganda paints them to be. They're both powerful and weak. And yet weak can be overcome by imperial spirit. Blah, blah. And you know how propaganda works. If you don't know how propaganda works, go find out how propaganda works. There's plenty of sources for that. Start small, though, and be careful what you get into. Some of it is propaganda for a reason, and it can be sometimes insidious in the brain. It can worm your way in, or try to. And you'll find yourself questioning bizarre shit. You get that sometimes with the Stalinist propaganda, where it's so idealistic it almost makes your eyes water. It's just like, wow, they really believed they had their Potemkin villages going full blast, so to speak. And this was going to be idealistic. You actually had to live there to understand that it wasn't. It really wasn't anything like what they were proposing it was. You get through that with any sort of propaganda, though. If they have to talk it up, then it's not really. It's usually not all that what it's cracked up to be. Otherwise, they could just show you. All right. Then again, you'd have to be crazy to in front of. The interior, a cargo bay, and no warmer. The outside. It's it turns head towards the towards a tilted. Do we call it a cargo door? Do we call it a cargo door? What are those called? The interior. Doorway led. And interior cargo bay. That was no warmer. Proved no warmer. The DT troopers opened the main doors and began to rush the sleds in. There. Okay, I've got another thing that we can do. Yes, there. Troopers took over, removing the loads to tables. Moving loads to smaller. What do they call that? Smaller carts. returning the sleds to the transport. There were plenty of mix-ups and raised voices, but all in all, it worked smoothly enough. She left her own grav sled in the corner and made her way into the base. The officer of the day couldn't be far away. Now she's going to her tools and equipment get misplaced and ransacked. I'm going to throw some bit of difficulty her way. She's going to trust that nobody's going to touch her stuff. That her civilian grav sled, her own corporate, and ransacked. Oh. Wake up call. She'll have to improvise. Okay, so we've got another bit of trouble. She's going to go see the officer of the day. They'll have a conversation. She'll go back to get her grav sled. It'll be gone. She'll have to hunt for it, trying to find it, only to find it ransacked and some of the more expensive gear stolen. She's a pathfinder. The rest of the team will be coming in a day or two. Get a message to them. Bring more gear. But she's still going to have to improvise in some way. She'll have to improvise when the rest of the team is canceled due to politics. So, no reinforcements, no additional gear. Okay, so there we go. We've got basically imperial politics. The army's going to pull its weight around and make sure that she's the only one there. You've already got a team on there, blah, 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 blah. Navy can transport, but the army won't accept. In the midst of a tug of war. And this is where the thriller aspect comes in insofar as powers larger than her are manipulating things and she just has to deal with the fallout. So there we go. Instead of a great galactic struggle with blasters and lightsabers and starfighters, we're going to get the down and dirty interior politics of people just trying to do their job and get around the troubles of everyday life, of living in during the time of rebellion, and trying to make their way and keep their ideals. And when that begins to fail her, we'll see which way she jumps. But this has been number 7 of Alan Wright's The Winter of Truth. I hope you've enjoyed this little soiree with Finara as we try to figure out where she's going and what she's going to do and where this thriller is going to end up. Once I've got a solid lead on the line of where it goes, we'll probably stop writing, as is the norm, because you don't need to see all of this. You just need to see the fun parts. We'll see where it goes. All right. Well, I hope you have a good day and you stay safe. Take care. Thanks.